Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, your host with the most, Griever, as always, bringing you guys Ayakashi Triangle, Chapter 55. Every review, of course, is delayed this week by a day because of the Olympics or some such, and everything was released on Monday, so the reviews are all being pushed by a day, etc., etc. But that being said, let's just jump in, because this is quite a good chapter, and I think we all know what's really going on here. We all know what's going on and stuff. This is an Ayakashi that has taken the form and believes itself or herself or whatever to be the former Ayakashi medium. That's the gist of this chapter. Though there were a few good points, because number one, at the beginning of the chapter we have Garaku and Matsuri's mother basically talking about this, and Garaku's like, I don't know. I only knew of the three. I don't know what this final one is. I have no idea. And she's doubtful that Garaku's telling her the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help him. But that being said, it would actually make sense, because if Garaku knew about this, you would think he would be directly involved, especially someone taking Mai's original form, right? Or Mei's original form. So, and we get this, we get the history once again that, she tried to form the bridge. She was one of the Ayakashi medium that didn't just try to help Ayakashi and humans, but tried to help both parties and be a bridge between them, be the middleman, so to speak. And it just did not work, and the humans ended up killing her. So, there's regret there. There's doom and gloom and stuff, and we sort of note that. We note that. So technically speaking, this could be. I haven't brushed up on my Ayakashi triangle recently, but I don't believe that an Omokage is like the embodiment of the person. So I'm curious how it gained this form. It might be like the supreme Omikage style and stuff, because it is confirmed in this chapter, but there's just quite a bit, I'm not sure what direction they're going to take it. This is feeling very Kikyo from Inuyasha style, right? It's feeling very Kikyo Inuyasha style. So there might be some impart. That's why this one might be so powerful. Anyway, we'll get into the theories at the end of the review, but because there's also a really nice scene with Soga, with Nino Kuro, where him and Matsuri are basically patrolling all over trying to find this last Ayakashi. They're in their Exodus ninja gear, and they're going through and stuff. And basically, it's explained as to why he's feeling bad. It's always done for humorous purposes, of course. Him not being able to handle a naked woman and not being familiar enough with women. He's not a very learned man in that area of the world. So at this point, he even says, though, that you don't need to apologize for that. It's I'm feeling very, and of course his companion is explaining and stuff like that. But he basically says that's not being used to women and being embarrassed and stuff. That's no excuse for not doing my job. For not I wasn't able to act. I wasn't able to help. It really mattered. There was a problem. There was a situation that was dire, and I wasn't able to help for such a foolish reason. And he's much harder on himself than anybody else is, but you can understand where he's sort of coming from. And so Matsuri is sort of sort of taking this all in sort of idea, right? And trying to understand it. Now, this is where we see one of the icons, which is one of the tiny little, flame ball will-o-wisp sort of Ayakashis. They chase it into the forest, and they find, of course, a naked woman bathing. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you find a naked woman bathing? Just after you talked about the whole, yes, no excuse. They're sort of trying to play it off for laughs again, I guess. It sort of bothered me, actually, because I would have liked him to try to resist, and then it's the pressure's 110%. At first he's yes, well, I need to get used to this, and he stares and stares and stares, and then he gives up. It could have been handled better, because it's sort of shortchanging Nino Kuro, who honestly is sort of one of my more favorite characters in this series. We're sort of shortchanging him. He recognizes it's the path to getting over something, right? Now, I'm not saying every arachnophobe it can't be afraid of spiders. I'm not an arachnophobe, but fuck, I don't want to see a spider. Spiders are terrifying, right? So things like that, it's sort of okay, well, wait a minute now. If this is an issue he needs to get over, he's recognized his weakness. He understands that it's not as important as A, B, C. He's going through the proper steps, And then they seem to shortchange him right here in this chapter. And that sort of bothered me a little bit about this chapter. I don't know if you guys felt the same way, but it was like, I know this is a comedy and stuff like that, but like, you're giving him character development and then shortchanging him when it matters once again. And it's just like, no, now, once again, he's going to be upset with himself. That being said, in the next chapter, he might wake up and get over it or something like that, you know, and maybe this is where, maybe it's going to be a two-parter where we're seeing the character development. So I'm going to withhold my judgment for this chapter right now, but if this ends up being the case, then once again, I just feel a little slighted by Nina Kuro's development here. Now, so of course we know who this is, and Matsuri mistakes it for the long-haired Suzu, right, and stuff like that. Now she introduces herself and stuff, but she does say like, "You're peeping at me." She knows the name and stuff like that. So here's where I'm getting a little bit of like, she's different. Like, of course they're doing the Ichi moments and stuff with, of course, the naked woman, you know, bathing in the forest, but one of the things that I find interesting is her attitude and everything that she goes through. She talks about it. She allows her her origami, the black origami. Of course, it's got to be black to signify evil. It's got to be the darkness. The black origami, the black star Dragon Balls, the black swordsman, the black this. You know, it's always that. So right now, Matsuri tried to destroy the icon. It did not work, and we're seeing tons of different origami floating around and stuff, and Matsuri's wondering who the hell you are and stuff like that. Like, since Soga's passed out and stuff, he's just like, okay, what's going on here? What's going on? And then Matsuri gets bombarded, and this Ayakashi comes right out and says, "I thought you were looking for me. Like, I'm the last one from the book, right?" And everything like that. But Matsuri is noticing that it's sort of strange. Her presence is very similar to a human's and such, and it's familiar. And he's remembering the omokage that happened with Suzu, right? Like in earlier chapters. I think that was like only chapter like 8 or 9 or something. It was earlier on in the series, and I didn't reread that chapter. But here, this person imitating not Suzu this time, but the former Ayakashi medium, which, how does that work? There's a question. But also, she admits it and says, of course, the childhood friend of the current medium and stuff like that would be so intelligent, would notice right away and understand right away, and holds and boom, right into the gut, right into the stomach, knee into the gut. You know, it would actually make a really cool thumbnail, but you guys, if you're following the series, you know why I can't use that as a thumbnail. So, anyway, takes him out pretty handily there and says, I am an Ayakashi that abandoned humanity. I'm my Hirasaka. So, she believes herself to be my Hirasaka. But is this the regrets form? Like, because an omikage can only take on so much, you know what I mean? Like, that wouldn't be the reason, and it's like, okay, and it would actually, like, there's so many theories around this. Like, that's the end of the chapter, guys, but, like, there's multiple ways they can take this. Like, this could be the regrets after Mai tried to be a good person for, 17 years or whatever, and then she was killed anyways because of people, like the witch hunts and stuff. She has regrets, she hates them, etc., etc. Any lingering negative emotions could have formed into this omikage, but that wouldn't explain why she was sealed then. If Mai had to seal her, then maybe her spirit floated, or maybe the omikage took on Mai's personality beforehand and the appearance beforehand, and is now using that as an excuse and as covering. I'm not sure what direction they're going to take this. Like, because she admits she's an omikage, so it's not actually Mai back. It's not her. But she wants to, so it's that whole, no, even though it's not me, it is me. I am what she should have been, like sort of that Gandalf line, like, I'm Saruman as he should have been, and this one has deceived themselves into believing that that's who they are. You sort of have that sort of the chameleon idea, like a process of identity. So yeah, there's as I just explained 3 or 4, there's multiple avenues they could take with this. I'm not sure how the rules work again with an omikage, and once again, how would it make sense if the medium was destroyed beforehand, the omikage would not have been sealed. And so if the Omikage was sealed, clearly took on this form beforehand, so it wouldn't make sense for the regrets, but who knows how that stuff works? Who knows how Mei actually felt at the end? Maybe this is... And this is why it would actually explain why Garaku doesn't know about this one. Because maybe it's actually Mai and it's not a real sealed one. And only with the release of the seal was Mai's regrets. I don't know. Like, as I said, there's multiple avenues here that we can go off of. Right now, it's starting to shape up as a pretty good chapter. I'm glad that we're going forward with the plot of this, you know, because we had seen hints of this before and we had that cliffhanger. So I'm glad that we're seeing this part anyways. Once again, I hope that Ninokuro does wake up and this isn't the end and stuff, because that'll be shortchanging, in my opinion, a really good character. But this is getting interesting. This is getting exciting. What did you guys think about Chapter 55? I thought it was pretty okay. I'm just glad that we're continuing the plot at this point. And for all the Ichi lovers out here, this is a pretty good chapter too. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to drink responsibly as always, as your host with the most always does. And we'll see you back here again next time for Chapter 56. Looking forward to it, ladies and gentlemen. Stay safe. Peace out.